guys, welcome to Cult Film Review, the podcast where we discuss the films you love but no one else gets, and we see if they still hold up. Tonight, we're going on a journey across the forest, the desert, and some swamps, and we might even stop in a cave with a big-ass old spider, all to stop aliens from invading our young love, because we're talking about the 1983 sci-fi fantasy film, Krull. So let's just start the show.
Your Hollywood system stole our sex and co-opted our violence, so there's nothing left for our kinds of movies.
I did not hit her. It's not true.
Klopex? Klopex.
Klopex.
Up yours, baby.
Me and Bubba, my little brother, listen to you every night.
Where in the hell are we?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Before we get into Krull, first, I just want to say please subscribe and write us a review on iTunes. It helps us out bunches, and it helps us just get cooler, I guess. I don't know.
That's so bunches. It helps us out. Bunches.
If you're wondering who's making fun of me right now, that would be Kyle Smith.
Hey, how's it going?
Chris Willenbrecht.
What's up?
And Michael Salustio.
Hey, everybody.
Tonight, we are talking about Krull. Came out in 1983, had a budget of $47 million. It made a whopping $16 million, was filmed in England, and has a Rotten Tomatoes of 33%. If you don't know what it's about a prince and a fellowship of companions who set out to rescue his bride from this fortress of alien invaders that have arrived on their home planet.
Of Krull.
Of Krull.
Okay.
Krull?
Yeah, that's good.
Krull.
All right.
This was Mike's pick. So, Mike, why did you pick Krull? Krull?
I picked Crow. No,
Wait, did you say Crow?
I said a Crow. No, I picked Krull because as a child, I loved this film. I know a lot of people that also say the same thing. They loved it as a kid. I really wanted to see it again to see if it still held up. And another reason why is because I really wanted to do a sword and sorcery film, but like some other ones weren't available. I didn't want to do Conan because everybody's seen Conan. Right, but they had other ones that like Deathstalker and stuff, and all those other ones. Like they were hard to find.
Red Sonja.
They were a little hard to find at such short notice. I didn't want to do Red Sonja either.
I'm going to ask this question real quick.
So I went with Krull.
I'm going to ask this question real quick, and I want quick answers to this. Had anyone not seen this movie before? I feel like I started this movie, never finished it because I don't remember it at all.
I had not seen this.
I've never seen it before.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And then also I want to go back real quick to what you said. You saw this as a kid. Is this one of them movies that you said like everything in the 90s is one of them pussy movies or like weak movies? And this is like
the equivalent of that?
This is like one of them hard-ass kids 80 movies that you were talking all that trash about?
No, I would definitely not call this one of them. In the sword and sorcery genre, this is definitely like a much lighter.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
It's a much more lighthearted.
This wasn't the dark
version.
shit that scared Mike to death.
Yeah, no.
I want to make sure the beast wasn't scaring
him. To be fair, there are scary points. There are scary things in it. Like, I mean, giant spiders and shit like that.
A lot of cranky old people.
No nudity, no real gore, no violence really. I mean, kind of, but they're like aliens that kind of disintegrate. Yeah. Anyways, we'll get to all of that. Take it away, Cody.
No, so first impressions, maybe right off the get go. What were you expecting going into this movie? Maybe off the cover art or the description of the film, Chris?
I will say right off the bat, I hated the title Krull.
Krull?
Specifically for the reason that it's like you think it's going to be the monster in the film, but it's not. It's just referred to as the beast in the movie. So, like, looking at the cover, I was like, okay, there's a monster in it. I had no idea it was going to be as fantasy as it was. Mm-hmm. I was not hoping for that. Yeah. I don't know, like, first impression of it, like, going in, I was, I had higher hopes, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it was as heavy fantasy as you make it sound, but...
I mean, yeah, I think it totally is, because you've got the hero who's a knight, and he's part of some kind of noble, nobility, kind of knights and the kings and shit.
Medieval shit, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And then you've got this alien rock that lands, so it's like swords versus laser guns. So it is like the
laser guns with swords.
Yeah. Swords or guns?
I feel like it's less
Swords or guns.
Swans
of guns.
Swords
I
or
don't
guns.
Get out your swords of guns. Start shooting them because we're taking this planet over. I'm the beast.
I mean, I agree. I agree. I think it's less fantasy than some of the other movies, in as much as that there's a heavy sci-fi element to it.
Yeah.
Like it's a little. It's weird. I kind of feel like it's if the Lord of the Rings franchise fucked Star Wars,
Yeah.
and this was its bastard child.
Yeah.
like
I
this
said
was
the
its love
same
child.
thing.
Yeah.
I said the same exact thing.
And I bet you that when they were making this film, that's exactly what they were thinking. They were like, well, Star Wars is hot and fantasy's real big. Conan's really big right now. Like, what if we did like a little bit of both?
I didn't plan on talking about this, but man, how much did you get? And this is before this movie, but how much did you get like a Masters of the Universe vibe?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
this.
Yeah, for sure.
definitely does.
Right?
Because
You get-
that's I mean, Master of the Universe is a
it's
sci-fi,
yeah,
sci-fi
done
like,
done right.
fantasy.
But wait
yeah.
a second. Did this come before a lot of that stuff?
Yeah,
Like,
this is 1983.
Yeah,
this is like
83.
this was maybe like the influence. Like maybe this film kind of influenced some other films.
I don't
It
know if the
wasn't-
toy line was out or not.
But yeah,
before
no,
this.
I think He-Man was out.
Oh, okay.
Let me look that up.
I don't know.
I personally like going into it. I was really hoping for more of like a Conan the Barbarian, but with some extra, I don't know, some fantasy elements to it.
Yeah.
Which this movie is none of that. There's like no Conan in this at all. So I was really the box art fooled me yet
There's
again.
some sweet ass 6-inch heel boots
Yeah, because that's all Conan.
worn by our hero.
No, my God.
Crowlin,
Can we
Crow?
can we bring
Crowlin?
him up? Like the first note I made in my phone about this movie is I fucking hate Crowlin, dude. He does not look like a hero to me.
No, I thought the same thing. I thought he was going to be like a little punk bitch the whole time.
he was.
But
he
no,
was.
he at first he wasn't as shitty as I was expecting. Like from the get go, the first like 15 minutes that you experience with this character, he is really weak and really kind of like, oh, where's
that
everybody?
cry was terrible.
But then after he gets going on the journey, he does find a certain level of confidence. It never grows beyond it to really make him be a powerful hero, but he
Right.
wasn't as much of a bitch.
No, I thought Paul Rudd was awesome.
Paul
he didn't look
Rudd.
anything like Paul
He looks
Rudd.
like
He
Paul
didn't
Rudd.
look
He didn't
like
look
Paul
anything
Rudd.
like
He
Paul
does.
Rudd.
He does
No,
look
not
like
at
Paul
all.
Rudd.
I'm sorry. No, maybe I explained it wrong. It's not so much the character that bothered me; it's the actor that
The actor's
bothered me.
weak, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like whoever that, like, I just didn't believe it. I didn't buy it, and I felt like his performances were super
Well,
weak.
I feel like that's very important stuff you're saying, but we're not to that part of the
You're
show
right.
yet.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
So let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about Krull.
It's Krull.
Krull.
Fuck that title.
Where is this place?
A forest near the Granite Mountains.
Blast! 1,000 miles off course. Well, I was rushed. There was a difference of opinion concerning a gooseberry pie. The man left it sitting on his windowsill. What did he expect?
Perhaps expected to eat it.
For that rudeness, out. I think I'll turn him into a bat.
Hey guys, we're back, and we're talking about the 1983 sci-fi fantasy film Krull. This is Mike's pick. I gotta ask this question first and foremost, right off the bat. Is this a cult film?
Yeah, I think it kind of is. I think it is. I know a lot of people that know it. I know a lot of people that love it. And like I said, the Sword and Sorcery, that was like really big in the mid '80s.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of like the more family friendly. I think one of the bunch, with like maybe like The Last Unicorn, but that's like animated.
Yeah,
But,
I think
like
it
you
is.
didn't take your kids to see Conan, you know?
Yeah, I think it is just because like even like when I was posting some screenshots while watching it, like there was people like, oh hell yeah, cool. Like there's definitely a group of people that this movie's like a special place in their heart for sure.
Yeah.
So I think it is. I think it is, or it definitely could
Does
be.
this tie into the D&D thing I was reading? Like it.
I wouldn't know.
I think they
I think
planned
that's-
for it to, but then
yeah.
never got the rights or even approached D&D about doing that. Like that was the
There's
original
some kind of
plan.
connection, or people connected somehow to that. But I don't know anything about D&D, so I wasn't
'Cause
sure.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe it seems like a D&D adventure. I don't know either.
Well, I mean, everything is kind of like I mean, all the fantasy stuff. It's like it goes like Tolkien and D&D, and then like everything branches out.
Right.
Like there's always an elf somewhere. You know,
Not an elf in this movie.
there's no elves in this movie.
No,
there's
no
a
elves.
Cyclops though,
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
and we have
there is.
some wizards and shit.
Man, what a terrible, like, come on, man.
What?
Cyclops should not be used. It only works in one universe, and that's Hercules, the Legendary Journeys.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And they look about the same.
Yeah, right.
I liked it.
The Syndicate.
Actually, I will say that kept me entertained, that character.
He was
Yeah.
good. I liked him. I always liked him. What's there not to like about him?
Yeah, what could you hate, Cody?
I don't know, just the look.
Well,
What? He has one eye. What more can you do with
Yeah.
that?
Looks all one eye and dopey.
do you think,
I just thought there was one particular scene that made me laugh, but it's like he glanced over at the Cyclops and like I guess the Cyclops winked, but he only has one eye, so
Was that what that's supposed to be?
I think so. There's like this weird subtle eye close, and then he opens his eyes super wide. I'm like, oh, was that a wink? Is that how Cyclopses wink at you?
That was kind of funny. That would be really fucking funny if that was what they were trying to do.
I think it
because
was.
I gotta imagine that doesn't click for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because it didn't click for me until you just said it now.
Yeah.
But that's a possibility.
do you think Gentlemen Broncos did it better?
Yes.
I think that was inspired, or at least for Gentlemen Broncos.
Yeah,
This
by
film
this?
did.
Oh, yeah.
No, I agree. I definitely agree with that. On the costumes alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the costumes. The big ass. I knew I was in for a treat when I started this movie, and that dude strolled up in that room in that purple costume.
Yeah.
It reminded me, like, every costume in this. Has anyone seen the movie Mom and Dad Save the World?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight. Is that a ripoff of? Is that making fun of this movie?
I mean, it could have been. That was more. I mean, that's more like Fly to Another Planet kind of thing.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Okay, well, this is on another planet. But I'm talking about
Is
this
Krull-
I'm talking wardrobe wise. Like,
I mean, come on. There's an unfathomable amount of bad costuming that happens in the 80s.
Yeah.
So we could say that about
yeah, but I
a
feel
lot.
like this one's up there, man.
There's a
I
lot-
kind of
there's
feel
a lot.
like Daft Punk probably got a lot of influence
What?
from this movie, at least from the
What,
Knights.
from the Knights motorcycle helmets?
Yeah, they all have like these weird motorcycle helmets on.
I thought when he was swashbuckling through the castle in that first initial terrible fight, oh man, was that bad.
I love that he did
Oh.
the classic cliche of grabbing the rope from the chandelier and swinging around.
These
I was
guys
like, I don't buy it.
The bad guys, the Slayers are marching up the stairs, and the good guys are just falling.
Yeah.
They're just falling.
I had
They're not
a-
even getting touched.
Well, that was the problem I had. Those Slayers barely could move. It looked like they were kind of just like swaying side to side, like coming at him. It wasn't intense at all.
That's
You know
enough.
what I will say though? The Slayers had a fantastic death. That like weird gargling noise and this like worm thing
Yeah.
like skirts
That
off
fucking, like,
screen. Yeah,
No, I agree.
yeah,
No, their deaths were sick. I thought that
Yeah.
same thing. I was like, oh, that's one cool part finally.
yep. Keep me entertained. Come on,
Dude, I was like, where am I? I didn't even know where I was at first. I was really confused by
you're in
like,
your living room.
no, I knew that.
Oh, okay.
I was confused by the just the placing of it, like just this universe that they live in of like yesteryear and future time.
It's just a hodgepodge. Because like, when do the aliens show up? When do they say the aliens?
Well, it's probably
right at the
during that
beginning.
10-minute credit sequence of
No, I
just
know.
a rock flying through space.
It totally reminds me of what is it? Star Trek. The
No, it's Star Wars. It's the Star Wars. It's literally the Star Wars intro of the ship flying over the camera.
totally wasn't thinking that, but okay. I was thinking of A Voyage Home with that big giant like obelisk thing.
Yeah, I don't know what you're
that
talking about
circular
at this
thing.
point. Why are you bringing up Voyage Home?
A voyage home. No, I don't know.
Fucking
All I
great
know is
film.
I was staring at some kind of rock thing for way too long. With this epic music,
This has seriously
swelling.
occupied the screen for far too
Do you
long.
think that they did a good job of blending the sci-fi and fantasy together?
I mean, no. I think
No.
we've already brought up several times that it's just kind of it was all over the
It
place.
doesn't make sense, right? When you got like stormtrooper looking dudes with swords. Like
They try to do this connection. Like, so all the humans are carrying swords and daggers and shit.
Yes.
Right. And then all these slayers are shooting these laser guns,
slash swords.
Well, they're lasers.
Slash
They're
swords.
laser spears. That's
laser spears.
Yeah.
yeah.
But isn't it funny like that? Like when they meet, they do like a lightsaber thing.
Yeah.
It seems like the swords
like, why
are
does it-
also kind of technologically advanced in some weird
I
way.
agree. They have red laser power.
I think they were just trying to rip off Star Wars.
Definitely. They're trying to cram as much stuff that they thought would work for their.
They're like, this is hot. People love that shit. People love it when two things hit and they
This
fucking
shit
fly.
hot.
How about this script, which talks about my favorite thing in cinema history?
What's that?
Young Love.
Yeah.
Walked right
Does
into
talk
that,
about
fellas.
that.
You guys walked right into that one.
Well, this time you're actually accurate. So
Yeah,
good
This
for
is
you.
a weird. This is a weird
it's a
relationship.
Shakespeare ripoff.
Fucking shotgun.
It is a weird
approach.
It's
relationship.
Romeo and Juliet ripoff straight from the get-go.
Wait, no, it isn't.
No, it's not.
How's
What?
Romeo and Juliet?
What the hell are you talking about? No, it's
The
not. Not
king
even
wants
close.
that guy to totally marry his daughter, right?
Yeah.
No.
Not
No?
at first. No, not at first. But then they decide to.
No, they're warring families. They say in the first 5 minutes.
It is not Romeo and Juliet because even though they're opposed to the idea, they totally go through with it
Yeah.
and they totally
Only to stop
recognize
the alien invaders. I'm sure if Romeo
Oh,
and
that's
Juliet,
totally Romeo and Juliet.
I'm sure.
Oh.
I'm sure if Romeo and Juliet had alien invaders, they would have been like,
That's so
"Do
funny.
it."
It's Romeo and Juliet meets Independence Day.
Exactly.
so ridiculous.
Exactly. No, it's like I'm not saying
Shakespeare should get
that
a writing
it's-
credit on this film.
I'm not
That's all
saying
I'm saying.
I'm not saying it's the whole film, but that element of the story is fucking Romeo and Juliet. Come on.
Well, it's just
classic
it's a
story.
classic love story.
Yeah.
That's all.
yeah, written by Shakespeare.
No, that's a
Oh.
lot of stories. This is like the Star Wars
Well, that-
story, kind of, right?
No, they were brother and sister.
You're talking about Luke and Leia?
Kind of had a similar.
You're
thing
talking about
going on.
Han and Leia.
Yeah, to save
No,
the
not
princess,
Leia.
saving the
Not
princess.
Opposites attract.
Yeah.
Two
There you go.
steps forward, take 2 steps back.
And then there was other elements, like I said, that were very Star Wars-ish. I feel like they were like, yeah, we could do Star Wars better, and then they didn't.
They didn't.
No,
at
they
all.
absolutely fucking didn't.
And they gave him so much. They gave Peter Yates $47 million, which this is one of the highest costing movies of its time.
Yeah, but also keep in mind, like, this is hot right now. Like, Sword and Sorcery's hot right now. Like, sci-fi
Yeah,
is hot
okay.
right now.
Yeah, but everybody else.
Laser beams.
When did Return of the Jedi come out? 82?
Yeah, but dude, they spent most of that was on sets because I think they did 29 different pieces of stage.
Oh, I
sound
believe
studios.
it. And can we talk about that for a little bit? Can we talk about it? Inside that castle, that was some good architecture, some good artistry.
Oh, those sets were amazing.
I thought those sets were amazing, especially inside. What is it? The dark
swamp?
castle? The moving castle, the beast's castle. Like all of that stuff, like how she's standing on a balcony, but it's like a hand grasping her.
Oh yeah.
Or like she's standing in the middle of like an eye, which is like a window.
Yeah,
Like
I think.
all of that artistry is like so. I loved it. Even as a kid, I loved it.
And honestly, the cinematography mixed with those set designs, you know what I mean? Like, I will commend this film for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I feel like the effects were weak, though. I mean, and I feel like they were kind of banking on that. You know, they tried to use it as much as possible, even with like the light coming out of the cave when they first go in. And I think they were really playing that up too much, but it wasn't good enough because once you got to the end and he looked like a cutout, over a bunch of different, layered images and like what you said, the beast through the fucking shower glass look, basically the out of focus. Like, I don't know. I think that's kind of where it missed.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Oh, I feel like there was a total cop out ending. I was pissed when I was like, why you can't get the beast in focus? Why can you not get the beast in focus?
Probably because they were like, this kind of looks like shit.
I've waited 2 fucking hours to see this guy. I'm ready to go. And then I'm like, is that him? Is that
Am I looking at the right thing?
I'm squinting my eyes. He's squinting his eyes, I think. It's just bad.
I will say though, once
go.
I did see the beast, like even though it was out of focus, I wasn't too disappointed with the beast. I thought he looked pretty freaky, actually.
Here's my question for you with that ending, just real quick, since we're all over the place this episode.
Yeah.
The glaive, right?
Yeah.
He throws it in the beast at the very end.
Right.
When does the glaive grow in size tenfold? The beast is like huge, right? That's what I got from this. Is like he's a huge being, and it sticks into him, and the glaive is huge, and it's like goes back to regular size.
Yeah, I don't understand that. There's a lot of things I don't understand about the glaive. Like he gets the glaive, you're like, this is gonna be badass,
and then he never gets to use it.
No, he gets to use it the first time you see it, which is fucking hysterical because I think about this is when he tries to cut open a wall. but it takes so long.
Oh, I know. It
It's
spends
just like
so
he's
much
just sitting
time.
there, and it's just like, and in my mind, I'm thinking 2 hours later. Like, he's just like,
Well, that was the
it's
problem.
a little
with
bit
this.
longer.
Seriously, like 2 hours. This movie didn't need to be 2 hours. Like
Yeah.
they held on some shots way too long in this film.
Bro,
Yeah.
this whole movie at 2 hours was longer than the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Seriously, they try to make it epic just by extending dumb shit like throughout the whole movie.
There is some dumb stuff. Like, exactly. Like, it could have been he threw the glaive at the wall and it just exploded.
Yeah.
And it's like, boom, and he's like, just runs through. That would be badass.
Right.
And then I would believe that maybe the glaive could grow or something.
Yeah, something powerful.
And then afterwards, it's not even the glaive. He just shoots fireballs.
Yeah, he has
yeah.
to. What is it?
What the hell?
He has to be united with his loved one, right? Because they create fire together or some shit like that.
You know what it was? It's the
That's what Young Love does,
Cody.
Chris.
It's the
Yeah,
it's the
I've seen
Space Jam ending. You know, it's not the water. They give him the magic water, and it's like it's magic water, and they think
yeah.
they're doing thing, and then you find it. No, it's inside you the whole time. That's where the fucking true power lies. It's the equivalent of the Space Jam
Liam
ending.
Neeson had to die for that. Liam Neeson's in this movie, for people who
Oh
don't
yeah.
know.
Fucking
By the
where?
way, what do you mean where?
Where?
Yeah.
He's the
throughout
guy
whole-
with the wife, and he
Oh,
takes
yeah.
him to the wife's house,
Okay.
and then he dies, gets shot, and
All
they're
right.
like.
Yeah, some side character.
He was like a prominent
He was
member
like,
of that
yeah,
team.
he was pretty much like the second in command of that team, I think.
Yeah, the guy with the choker. It was the real tough guy with
Yeah.
the choker. He was in charge, and then everybody else was not.
Who's your least favorite character?
Oh, probably Krull.
Who's that? Is that the goose guy?
No, that's the main character, the prince.
Kyle, who's yours?
The guy that the
king.
Anamorph.
Ergo the
Eros
Magnificent.
or
He's your
Ergos?
least-
Ergo the Magnificent.
He's your least favorite?
Yeah, he's fucking annoying as
he's
shit.
so wacky and fun.
Could you
so
agree with this?
goddamn annoying.
he's
No,
the-
I don't agree with it because I remember him from Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory. He's like I think he works in the candy shop when Charlie
Oh,
goes
does he?
in. Yeah, and he does that one number in there. I think that's the same dude. So I was like, I recognize that guy.
I don't think that's the same dude.
I want to say something. I want to talk about something that really bothers me
Look it up, Kyle.
about Ergo the Magnificent.
What? He's
right?
a hill people. They can't harm people.
No, remember the part where they're walking through the boulder, right? It glows, and then like the old man walks through first, and then the hero, and then the other guy walk through, and then Ergo just sits there like, this is fucking madness. This is crazy. But like he's the only dude that knows magic. Why would that be weird to him? He just turned into a fucking fireball. Why is the idea of going through a glowing cavern like that's been ripped in half that you can walk through? Why is a portal so weird
Because
to him?
he's the cowardly lion.
That still doesn't make any sense. That's like a cowardly lion being like, I don't get manes. How do they work? What's up with tails and shit? I don't get it. Like, I don't understand.
Magnets, how do those work?
Yeah. I don't understand why the one magic user of the group is the one that is the least
Well, he's not
believing of magical things happening.
he's not terribly good at magic.
That
So-
doesn't mean that he wouldn't automatically be like, oh, it's a portal. Yeah, I got that.
Well, I
A
don't know,
portal.
Mike. Jesus. He's just
Maybe
not-
it's triggered by something, you know? Maybe
Stress.
it's triggered by something and it just
I don't know. I
only
just made something up
manifests.
right now.
You have to because there's no answer.
He seems stressed
There's
out the
no
whole time.
answer for this.
I don't know.
None.
All right, I guess I would have somebody on my team on this one,
feel
but
like
I guess
there's-
everybody's just kind of like, whatever, Ergo.
What do you mean?
There's no.
Everyone here is Team Ergo.
I fucking hate Ergo.
Thank
No,
you,
he
Kyle.
hates Ergo.
I already
you,
said
Kyle.
that. I
he
said that
reminded
earlier.
me of like a Monty Python character.
He reminded me of an
something.
annoying ass.
No, he was.
He's
he
an
was,
irritating
he was
character.
like Jar Jar Binks, but better
no.
of the
No.
series.
No, he was equal to Jar Jar Binks. Just as annoying.
I thought the hero.
If
man,
you want to make, you know what? If you want to make any kind of connection to Star Wars films, there's the one. Ergo and Jar Jar Binks.
you want to make me not like a hero right away, have him cry about his girlfriend and his daddy.
Oh my god, that was the worst cry I've ever seen.
Yeah, he just breaks down like real quickly.
It was the worst
Yeah.
cry I've ever seen.
He got broken real quickly.
Can't fight the bad guys because they killed everyone, and I'm sad,
Oh man.
and I don't want to fight.
I don't think it
I
was.
came
I don't,
looking
I don't,
for
I
a
don't think it was
king.
that bad, right?
It was basically that. That was basically the scene.
Basically.
But
It
then
was.
he becomes a hero.
Yeah, he does.
He does. He
He gets his
mans
shit
up.
together.
Yeah, he
He
does.
puts his hand in a cave full of
He
some
te-
kind
you
of
know-
red glowy water that contains the Krull
What is his name? Ynir?
What the hell is that thing called?
Ynir?
What is that thing
Yeah,
called?
Ynir.
What's the weapon called?
The Krull
glaive.
skull.
What? The
glaive?
Just kidding.
The glaive?
The glaive is the
glaive.
thing, the ninja star thing that he's
Yeah.
throwing.
Okay.
Yeah.
The clave or the glaive?
Glaive.
I know. We're just
Does anyone have a favorite set? I want to ask that real quick.
A favorite set?
I would have
Yeah.
to say actually the cave of the glaive.
The cave of the.
That was my
Glaive?
favorite because it sucked the least.
I don't think so. I thought the spider.
yeah. I was gonna say that.
That was a cool place.
That was a cool place, man.
I mean,
That
it
scene
was.
no. That scene just
You didn't like that scene?
no.
It was 80s, but it was good 80s. I thought.
Yeah.
I thought that was like the good
There's
80s
a lot of
part of the
tension
movie.
with that
There's no tension.
with the hourglass.
There's no tension.
What do you mean
What are
no
you talking
tension?
about? There's
There was
spiders
no
running?
tension.
There's no tension because it goes on way too long.
There's an
but,
albino
that's like
spider.
what is that? A 4-hour hourglass?
but the set itself is cool. I thought.
I agree.
I mean, dude, all the sets in this are good. Honestly,
Yeah,
I
I
can't
feel
complain
like
about
that's
I'm
the
not
big
gonna-
thing.
I'm
The
not gonna, like,
art department in
nitpick
this,
shit. I'm not
they-
gonna nitpick shit.
they deserve some
Hold on,
respect.
hold
They
on.
deserve
I give
real
them
some
respect for building these
Which
sets.
one are you gonna nitpick?
I'm gonna nitpick them all. I'm glad you said that. I think the sets are fantastically done, but here's the problem with some of them, not all of them. Especially the swamp. They did the swamp beautifully.
The quicksand was awesome.
Yeah.
That whole scene was that. Now that scene is a scene with tension in this movie.
No,
the
that
spiderweb
scene's
scene,
great.
Now no tension.
That seems
But-
great. I like that scene.
I will say this: a lot of the sets feel like a set, which take you out of the movie. In my
I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
Like the only time
Okay.
I actually was like, oh, how they doing it is when it cuts to that really long shot of him like climbing up the mountain in his boots, and I was like, I wonder if he's gonna fall. Like I feel like there's an
Yeah.
actual. I couldn't tell how the shot was faked, which that was the one
I
shot.
think some of those stunts were actually done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Probably by him too. So I don't know.
Low budget.
Oh, you're just throwing it up. Low budget, 47 million's low budget. I mean, they mostly spend it on
I have a question
costumes.
for everybody.
yeah, you could
With costumes and laser beams.
What do you think is? Oh, there's one thing I do like about this. I'm trying to debate whether or not I like it. I guess. Does anybody feel like the acting is actually kind of pretty good in this though?
No. I think there's a couple characters.
Like, there's a couple characters that are pretty like real solid. Like maybe they were like really good, like Shakespearean
I thought the
theater
old.
actors.
I thought the old guy who was originally leading him. I thought he was solid.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought.
I think Coleman might be the only bad,
I don't. What?
and well, maybe the princess.
Princess is only bad because that's not her real voice.
Okay,
It isn't?
No, it was dubbed.
where was she from? Like Scandinavia?
No,
or
she's from England, and I guess they thought that the film would not do as well in America without at least like one American English speaking person.
something? That's weird. I feel like our
So
accent's really easy to copy.
If they dub her voice, and if you watch the movie like a second time, like I did,
I don't really remember
you
her
get
speaking lines a whole lot.
she doesn't speak a
To
lot.
be honest with you.
She doesn't speak a lot.
They're covering it up.
Who do you think was a bad actor? Who else do you think was a bad
Well, no,
actor?
I was gonna say
Ergo.
I was gonna say no. Hold
I
on.
actually don't think Ergo's bad. I just think
I
he-
wasn't-
Hey, I was just trying to get a joke in there, Mike. You
Oh,
should back me up here.
I wasn't gonna say
Ergo's horrible.
I wasn't gonna say they are
Thank
bad.
you.
What a piece of shit.
Thank you. Fuck.
I wasn't
You
gonna say
flip flopper.
I was not going to fucking say that they are bad actors. I was going to say that they are British actors, and it comes off very British.
Yeah. This whole movie feels
I don't-
very
I don't-
British.
Well, I mean, they're British.
And exactly, and it's that
It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird thing to say, guys.
No, British have a different style of acting. It's a different style of acting, and
Oh,
it's,
really? What is
Yeah,
it?
but it doesn't mean that it's a bad
It's
style
very
of acting.
pan. It's very pan.
What do you mean pan?
The pan. They're pan performances. They're very
Deadpan?
They're very
I like his
flat
definition of pan
Okay.
is to repeat pan.
Yeah.
Peter Pan.
Pan's Labyrinth. Pan.
You know, pan. It's pan.
I don't agree with that at all.
You don't feel like they feel a little flat?
No.
Anyone else?
No,
No.
not
You're
necessarily.
No.
You're liars.
I think that part where you're in, he's about to die, and he's just like, the desert at midnight. Like that part, like you go deadpan.
No,
there
there was definitely some flat performances.
There's a
in
lot
this
of flat
movie.
performances.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
absolutely.
name them off.
Thank you for being reasonable.
Go down the list.
Well, I will
Bam.
say when the guy you were just talking about, his guider Yore. Well,
Yuri,
what's his name?
Something like that. I don't know.
Yuri.
When his death is fucking lame, dude.
Bro,
That's
his whole-
deadpan,
his
like
whole
for
thing,
sure.
His whole thing is lame. He doesn't even go to help them in the town. He just watches all the savages roll by at first, like, well, I guess they're all gonna get killed. And then I'm gonna walk in and be like, oh, are you hurt? Well, everybody you love has been captured, and I didn't help, and I knew this was coming.
He didn't know it was coming.
He's standing there waiting for him to ride by
What?
in the beginning of the film.
What are you talking about? Who? What?
The guy that he follows is in the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
He is standing by a tree when all the Savagers ride by as they're going on their way to the castle.
What was he going to do? Take them all on by himself?
No, but he knew they were going there, bro.
Well, how's he gonna? What is he gonna give him a ring on the old cell phone?
Go and help.
Jesus, how are you supposed? How?
Go. Just go. How about just go
He
there?
was on foot. They were on horseback.
Oh man, you know what? So he would have been a little late. They could have helped in the late.
That's
Yeah,
absurd.
he was
And
late.
like,
That's why he was tending to the wounded.
The wounded. There was only one person alive.
Yeah, and he was fucking tending to him, wasn't he?
By the way, yeah, I believe that. They only leave one person alive. The king. Yeah, that's convenient.
The one that shouldn't have been left
Was the
alive to
prince.
begin
exactly.
with.
Stupid.
God, you guys hate
Because what was he was gonna?
hating on
They were supposed to
Colin.
create what? The King of the Galaxy or some shit like that.
Yeah, they will.
Or they will, yes, but we don't know that till the end.
Yeah.
You know, it's suspenseful all the way up to it.
Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about this fantastic movie, Krull.
The beast has many weapons. This was one of them. A changeling. How did you know?
I found the seer's body in the quicksand.
He gave his life for us.
It was my only family.
We're your family now.
All right, guys, so we're back, and we are talking about Krull from 1983. Let's get into some of the technical stuff. One of the things I want to do is talk about the score of this film. James Horner is the orchestra. He's the composer, orchestra. I was gonna say
Composer?
I was gonna say he's
That
the
would
whole
be the word to
orchestra.
use.
No, he's the composer. He's done a ton of films. I've never heard of him before. Like, I'm not good with composer names. Let me first say that before everyone starts like, you never heard of him? I'm not good with composer names.
I've heard of Danny
Real quick.
Elfman.
Yeah.
Has anybody heard of this guy?
No.
Yeah, you're preaching to the wrong choir because we all don't know composers.
I'm just
I know
saying-
Danny Elfman.
I'm not saying in this room. I'm
and
saying
Thomas Newman. That's it.
I'm not saying in
Ennio
this room.
Morricone.
I'm saying on the internet.
And Ennio Morricone.
And Hans Zimmer.
I'm saying
Thank
on
you.
the internet. But this guy has done Humanoids from the Deep, Wolfen,
What a gem.
Big time.
Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. He's done 48
Okay.
Hours.
All right.
He did Krull.
He started
Krull.
slow, but he's picking up speed.
Yeah. He's moving in.
Hold on, here, let's see here.
Wait, did you do 48
Trek-
hours or another 48?
No, he did the first one.
Okay.
So he did Star Trek 3, Search for Spock. He did Cocoon.
Okay.
Let me see here. Commando.
Yeah.
Slipping a little.
Aliens.
Slipping a little. Nope, now he came back. Came right
Yeah.
back.
Back strong.
Exactly. An American Tale.
Okay.
Love
Great,
that
great
movie.
score though.
Willow, Red Heat,
Okay, both good.
Land Before Time,
I don't know,
All
Red
right.
Heat. Red
Cocoon,
Heat.
The Return.
He seems to have a soft spot for Schwarzenegger.
He does.
Yeah, he maybe he's the go-to composer for Schwarzenegger.
I mean, this
That's
is all
part-
big
that's part of
shit.
Schwarzenegger's
No,
fucking
that's all-
contract.
unless it's
the pizza.
Guess what else he did?
Huh.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Okay.
Kyle, you might like this one. Another 48 Hours.
I love he came back. He
The
came back.
Rocketeer.
Oh, good for him.
I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on.
And on.
Hocus Pocus. I mean, it's ridiculous. Page Master, he's
There's no
Braveheart.
doubt.
Well, let's talk
Braveheart.
about
There's no-
Krull.
Yeah, there's no doubt that he's a pro, but I personally felt like in this movie, the music was, yes, technically good. It just didn't feel like it fit that well.
Oh, I think it did. It was very swashbuckly.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
This is kind of like space piratey a film. It is a little bit.
I went outside and I hung out with Kyle and I was just whistling the tune the whole time.
You were attempting to, and you're failing.
Yeah, I wasn't very
at
good at it.
every turn.
Hey, but you know what? I'm not James Horner. Okay,
You're not.
That's not who he is.
I'm not who, that's
It
not who
just
I
felt
am.
like too much. I don't know
Everything
why.
in this movie was too much. The sets were too much. The costumes were too. Everything was over exaggerated.
This movie is over the top.
I think
by
the score is the
definition.
best part of this movie, hands down.
Yeah, I think the sets are, but that's okay.
The sets look too much like sets at times when you're just taking
Yeah,
it out of the
but
movie.
you know what though? You know what?
Except for the swamp.
To
Swamp's
just counter that, Cody. Though, when you're talking about a fantasy film, aren't the sets supposed to look surreal and fantastical?
Not necessarily. I mean, I guess they did in the 80s.
Like
I would
Labyrinth?
say.
In the 80s, they
you know
totally
what? I gotta
did.
say, I disagree with all of this. I don't understand what you're talking about.
I'm disagreeing with him saying the sets
yeah,
look like
I know.
shit.
That's what I'm saying to him too.
He's
Okay.
Like, I'm agreeing with you, and I'm disagreeing
Make sure you
with Cody.
clarify that.
Yeah,
And
please
when,
tell me-
when you do a blanket statement, all of this.
Yeah.
what he was talking at the time. Yeah, man, I don't understand what you mean. Like, what do you want from a fantasy film? You want big, big, grandiose, like epic, like sets. You want fantastical monsters.
Yeah,
and you want swords and
sorcery,
beautiful princesses and magic. Like, what do you want?
No, I do, and I get that from like. Okay, I don't even like comparing it to the Lord of the Ring movies because again, here technology is definitely
right.
in
I mean, we
different spectrums here.
we can't go too crazy.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I understand.
But I definitely like more of a realistic style of fantasy. This is like there could have been a unicorn shooting out of somebody's butt at any moment.
Oh, I don't buy that. This
Fantasy.
is not Legend. It's not Legend.
Oh, it's close.
I don't think it's
wanna
even
be.
close to Legend. Legend is just like glitter and fairies and unicorns. Like this is
it definitely has a similar. This
Cyclops.
definitely has a similar tone to like Labyrinth, though, and,
Yeah, I
and
would
a
agree.
lot of Jim Henson-esque.
I don't think it's as fun as Labyrinth.
No, it's
Well, I
not
said
even
I said
close.
tone, not your enjoyment. I said
Well,
tone.
no, but I mean that would be the tone, right? Like I don't feel like this had a fun tone. For the most part, I felt like the pacing is off. It's very drag.
it goes up and down.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
There are
I
moments
agree.
where you're like, okay, this is cool, and then there's moments like, wow, they've been walking still.
Well,
Yeah.
but even some of like the intense scenes, like that spider scene, it cuts back and forth a few too many times
I
to
understand.
the point where you're like, we're still on this moment. Like I've lost steam at this
Yeah.
point.
or like cutting back to the main character holding his hand out, controlling the
The glaive.
glaive. Thank
that
you.
just takes forever.
Exactly.
And then
Same thing.
cuts to the beast railing and screaming, and then cuts back to him with an outreached hand, and then back, and then back, and then back. Yeah, it's too much.
I always feel like Colin had like a dumb smirk on his face, like no matter what was going on in the scene,
He
was
did.
like,
He
had
did
a
always
smile.
have like a cocky kind of like a shit-eating grin, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was kind of weird. I don't understand. I think they tried to make him too good.
Yeah, I think so. I think if they had made him a little grittier.
There's one scene that like particularly blows me away about his how nice he is the scene where the beast sends the shapeshifter to seduce him, right? And like he's holding her, like he's just like holding her, like he like.
That's what I'm saying. He has a dumbass smirk on his
Yeah,
face.
like why the fuck would you? If your wife Cody,
Yeah.
like if some girl was just like I'm just so blah blah, would you be like and holding her like
Cradling her?
lovingly and shit?
My wife lets me cradle women all the time.
That's strange.
That's not true at all.
Yeah.
No, I would get murdered for that. Are you
Right,
kidding me?
absolutely. And then it shows her, and then she's looking into the visage that he's seeing. Like, look, it's happening. And at first, she's just like, "There's no way this is happening."
Yeah.
And I'm kind of thinking, like, yeah, because why would anybody fucking be holding on to someone like that if you're betrothed to someone else?
You were
It's
embraced.
just
He
a-
was embracing her pretty
It's almost
hard.
like it's almost like he had like it's like he has to be the hero or the good guy
Yeah.
for every scenario.
I tell you what, though, I feel bad for him in that scene when he has to wear them thick ass red contacts when he's the beast.
Oh yeah, I
Oh
couldn't
my
have been.
gosh.
Oh
happy.
my
Yeah, it couldn't have
god,
been
those
fun.
things look painful as hell.
I don't know. Yeah, that freaks me out to think about.
I feel like I don't remember any of these scenes actually.
You don't remember the scene?
Not at all.
She turns
Welcome
into a
to Krull.
shapeshifter, and then she grabs him.
What
and-
shapeshifter?
What do you mean? There's like two shapeshifters in this. One that turns into the old man. He jerks off the old man and kills him. And then doesn't it look like he jerked off that old man?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I do
it was
remember. I
weird.
do
It's
remember
weird.
that
He like
one.
puts his hand out, and all of a sudden you see the old man shaking violently. And then the other one was the girl.
Don't remember that.
Yeah, it's Liam Neeson's wife. He says, "I brought her in from a different village."
Yeah.
And
Nope.
is he the only one that doesn't? Or
When
am I
did
the
you
only-
fall asleep during this
Yeah.
movie? No,
Well,
it happens.
now.
It's okay.
Apparently, I have no idea when I wasn't paying
And,
attention.
and it's also the other weird thing about it. It's the only of the aliens that actually turncoat. Like you realize that maybe they're not all bad.
What? Wow, I missed a whole
She says
chunk
to
of this film.
she says to him, she says, "My talons were this close to your heart, but I saw the love that you had, and I couldn't go through with it."
Yeah.
And then the beast like kills her in some weird
Right.
like
She
mental
does bring
wave
up
or
the young
something.
love. She does bring up the
It
young
makes
love.
like it's such a weird scene.
I feel like I
must have
had a
been.
hard
I must have been like picking the almonds out of the trail mix when
I
this
know
scene was
at that
happening.
time. I don't know what you were doing.
I know where you're going with this, Chris.
What's that?
You're about to say you had a hard time following along.
Yeah, and I felt like I had a hard time, with the dialogue specifically, I would say. I mean, like they're just on some fucking journey to get to this rock somewhere that keeps changing locations for some reason.
I did think that was a great defense mechanism.
Yeah,
I will say that
every day it changes to an unknown location, but
the desert,
but
the tundra.
yeah,
the swamp.
it felt difficult to pay attention. I don't know why.
As evident as me being completely having no recollection of the scene you guys just went in depth about, I agree with you.
Dude,
I had a hard time paying attention as well.
I was actually wondering if this is if I took a hit on this one because of the MTV generation that I may come from, where it's like this. The pacing of this movie is very slow, and I'm right there with you. I felt like I had ADD on this movie terribly. Like I could not focus.
I don't think
on
I don't think that's because of the MTV generation. Because I mean, we're all the same age. We've all grown up at the same time. We're all used to rapid, high, that MTV kind of thing. I personally, like pacing of a movie, I watch a very slow movie and still be completely entertained and completely intrigued. It has nothing to do with it. I think this movie specifically wasn't that interesting.
Do you think it's that glow too that also puts you to sleep?
Glow.
It has a weird
dreamlike
glow.
state.
Yeah, like ethereal thing they try to do on.
I don't know. I felt like I could
foggy vision.
I could look away from this film for like a good minute or two, and then look back, and it was still in the same scene. Like I didn't.
Which
miss
is probably why I
anything.
didn't think I missed anything. But
Yeah.
apparently, I missed some key plot points.
You can
here.
really break this film down into like 5 scenes, right? It's like the attack on the castle, him getting the glaive, the swamp, the spider, the castle. The film is over.
Yeah, but you left out the most badass scene of them all.
What's that?
Which is riding fiery.
Oh, the
horses.
fire horses.
The,
no.
the fiery
That-
high-speed horses.
That whole scene was actually pretty cool because I would imagine they would have had to have done a lot of training just to corral those horses.
I felt like the corralling portion of it not necessary. I didn't need to watch them corral horses.
No, I agree with that, but that was
I would have been okay being like, where'd they get the horse from? Who gives a shit? They're on fire and going 900 miles an hour.
Actually, they go about 140 is what I read.
Oh,
wait, was there like a dude that like actually
track
clocked that shit?
Yes, there
Wait a second.
is. It's
But
on
140
IMDb.
miles an hour
Hold
is
on.
not going to soar you through the air.
No, I can explain this. Give me a second. Here we go.
That's true.
The Cyclops states that the fire mares can travel 1,000 leagues in a day.
That's not
A league was defined as a distance that a heavy armed man could travel in an hour, and was generally taken to be somewhere between 3 to 4 miles. This gives the mares a range of about 350 miles in a day, or 350,000 miles in a day, an average speed of 146 miles an hour.
That's so funny. This is like one of those things where like the screenwriter didn't do any scientific research whatsoever and just threw some weird number out there. It was like, that's a far away.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like a Star Trek that did this or something? I don't know. And they were like, it's like 100,000 light years away. It's like, okay, it's about as far as Saturn.
I like that somebody took the time to do the math and figure that out.
No, that's what cracks me up about
Tell you
this.
what, right there. Guess what? This movie's a cult film.
Yeah, because someone did the math.
Someone did the math.
Yeah, you do the math, it's a cult film. It's
Yeah.
true.
There's also another reason why it's a cult film because what's his name? Something the Majestic for us. Ergo has
the
his own. He has
Magnificent.
his own Facebook page.
He does? What do you mean? Like
It's
for
good that-
Ergo the Magnificent?
It's called Ergo the Magnificent Facebook page.
I imagine that he's probably the
Visit it
most
now.
memorable.
Yeah, go
but
to
you
it.
Think about it. It's him and the Cyclops are probably the most memorable characters in this film.
Right.
Nobody remembers Colwyn. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, Coleman's got weird pants. They're too tight.
You
can't be
all
adventuring
the
in
sword
those
and
pants.
sorcery movies all were way into spandex pirates
except
and
except for
kings.
the bad dudes that he hires as his crew of men that are not
his crew of merry men.
that are not like in spandex. Those guys are in like furs and orange shirts.
Yeah, they had to make him look
Orange shirts.
They had to make him look bandit-y.
Yeah, they're bandits.
Yeah, they're bandit.
The only person who has that key is the Fire Marshal Bill and the king.
Fire
And then at the end, it's just like, you're now the Fire Marshal Bill. Wink, wink.
All right, so let's rate this Mammer Jammer. What are we gonna rate it tonight? What are we gonna rate the Krull?
There you go.
Krull?
I'm thinking we're gonna rate it glaives. What else can you rate it?
Glaives.
It's the one thing that everybody kind of remembers about this movie.
Oh.
That and Ergo, and apparently the Cyclops.
Really quick, one more thing before we jump into reviews.
Yeah.
One more thing that the cover art, the box art for this movie, totally let me down. on. Lasers coming out of the glaive.
Yeah.
Never happened. Anyhow,
Never happens.
Continue.
Never happens.
Yeah.
All right, so let's
Fuck you, poster art guy.
Let's rate this man. We're jamming.
Chris, can you get the Glaives to shoot lasers?
No.
I'll go first. I'll
Glaives.
go first. I'll go first on this one. I think I know where I'm going to land on this. If you want to watch an awesome movie, or if you just want to watch a cool music video for a really long movie soundtrack, you should totally watch Krull. No, I don't know how to rate this movie. It's not so terrible that you can't watch it, but it's not extremely entertaining or enjoyable. Oddly enough, it's not that you'll ever. I don't think you can hate this movie necessarily, but I don't think this is one that I love. I don't know if it's because I'm coming into it late too. I didn't grow up with this movie or anything like that. I'd have to give this movie. It's pretty damn boring. I'd have to give it a 2. I'm gonna give it a 2.
I really thought you were going for that 5.
Yeah. You're really building
the
us up
enthusiasm?
Yeah.
for a real twist ending.
2 Glades. I mean, Glades. I want Glades plugins. Give me Glades plugins. That's what I want.
All right.
That makes sense for this episode.
I'll do that.
How many Glades?
Because it's a real stinker, right?
Chris?
Chris,
go ahead.
Dead air.
Okay. It's not for me. First of all, I might actually say that this is the least enjoyable film I've watched on this podcast yet. I would actually watch Return to Oz over this film, and I wasn't a huge fan of that.
I would agree.
Like, I'm maybe just because I'm not into the fantasy films very much, but that's kind of not true because I like the Neverending Story and I like Labyrinth and
You like Wizards, right?
I liked Wizards,
Yeah.
But like, this one just didn't have anything cool. I feel like they shoved a bunch of like lame ass effects in it that were kind of half finished, and they maybe had a few good ideas chucked in there. I thought the Beast was kind of cool, but overall, like this movie, I guess I could see why it's a cult film because it is kind of bad, and maybe you could make fun of it a little bit. Or maybe if you're just really into like fantasy, like what would you call it? Sword and sorcerer?
Sword and sorcery films.
Sword and sorcery films, like whatever. Like, but I'm just not. And the music was overdone for me. None of the characters I really cared for. I'm gonna give this a 1. Like I can really say that the sets were good. And the cinematography was pretty good too, but the fight scenes were all dumb. Like I just couldn't get into it. So 1 for the look, and the effort they put in there with the cinematography.
Kyle?
I to counter Chris, I actually do enjoy kind of sword and sorcery and fantasy films. I've seen a lot of them growing up as kids. I'd never seen Krull for whatever reason. But this movie just did not hold my attention. I thought there were great scenes and good setups, and I thought there were some creative characters and a couple likable characters for sure. But I don't think the story there was enough story to really support them and to really make the journey make the journey feel like peril, like there's a lot of peril involved, or that they won't make it. Like there was never anything, and those are I feel like are key things you need when you're making a good fantasy or film like that. There needs to be like, you don't know if they're gonna win. There needs to be some conflict, some challenge and stuff, and it just wasn't there for me in this film. As you may have heard earlier, apparently I was so not into this film that I completely missed some key scenes while watching it, which is embarrassing enough, but that's okay. I'm gonna give this a 1 as well. I wanted it to be so much more just because the box art looked killer, but not there. 1 Glade.
Finally, it's his pick. Michael Salucio.
All right, I think this is a review that there's not going to be a lot of dissension on here. I feel like Krull is I'm going to give it a little bit higher of a score than Cody. I'm going to give it a 2.5, and only because I feel like this is the type of film that I feel like kids, will feel some sort of wonderment from, But it doesn't have. If you're an adult and you like the sword and sorcery genre, there's not really that much going on, maybe some cool things like, oh, there's a Cyclops and, the alien, the sci-fi element might be kind of cool. But for the most part, like, it doesn't have like the gore and violence of like a Conquest or even like the sex that you would find like even like a Conan or anything like that. So the people that like that type of the sword and sorcery area, that's gone. And it's not beautiful like maybe The Last Unicorn. Like, it's not a great story like that cartoon is. So it just kind of ranks as a meh. Like, it's just bleh, not that great. I'm going to give it a 2.5 Glaves. See it just because why not?
Wow, sold.
If there's not a lot of these films in the genre.
Yeah.
Because there are way worse ones, believe me. They have
That's
like
impressive.
a lot of direct-to-video bullshit in this genre.
Yeah, I believe that.
That still exists even to this day. Like,
they had the
2000s
budget
and
to
shit.
do it right, though. In
This one, they got the budget. It's not the best installment of one of them, but yeah, you should, if you like the genre, why not?
All right, guys, that's our show for this week. Please make sure that you subscribe to us on any social media and our iTunes account. That would really help us out. You can follow us on social media at cultfilm_review on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow Kyle.
You can follow me on Instagram at cultfilm_Kyle.
You can follow Chris.
Cultfilm_Chris on Instagram.
You can follow Mike.
At Mike Salustio on Twitter.
And you can follow me at VHS Collect on Instagram. All right, guys, that's our show for this week. Just remember, if you're going to join a cult, make sure they watch good movies, and we'll see you next week.